Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the perfect square trinomial. This is a special case trinomial that changes our answer when we factor it, and some of you might find a slightly faster way to factor if you can spot it. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So here I have my first example of what a perfect square trinomial is. Alright, so what is a perfect square trinomial? A perfect square trinomial is a trinomial that when you factor it, you end up getting two identical binomials. Okay, so let me show you, for example, what would happen in this case. So in this case, I am thinking of two numbers that can multiply and get me 64, but at the same time will add together and get me 16. The two numbers that can do that are 8 and 8. So for this one, if I go ahead and factor it, you would see that I get x plus 8 times x plus 8. Okay, x plus 8 times x plus 8. These two are two identical binomials, all right, which we can actually simplify and write x plus 8 squared. And this is what makes it a special case, all right? And really the reason why this happened is because our first term is a perfect square. That's just x times x. Our last term is a perfect square, that is 8 times 8. And then the middle term is a combination. It's x times 8, but it's doubled. Okay, and whenever you see this happen, when your first and last terms are perfect squares, and that the middle term is each of those perfect squares multiplied together, so one, you take an x times an 8, you get 8x, double that, you get 16x. When I see this happen, I can assume that this is a perfect square trinomial, and I know that my answer, I just need to take one of these perfect squares and one of these, put them in a binomial, and square them. Okay, so also you want to make sure that you are always writing your answers in the most simplest form as possible. Okay, in math that's pretty important. So if I can write x plus 8 squared, I want to make sure that I'm writing that. All right, so let's go ahead and look at another example of a perfect square trinomial. X squared minus 18x plus 81. So here I can tell this is a perfect square trinomial because this just breaks down into x times x. This breaks down into 9 times 9. I look at the middle term, however, and I see a negative 18. How do they get a negative 18? Well, lucky for us, negative 9 times negative 9 is still a positive 81. So these are the two perfect squares that they used. If I get one of each of these terms that were come from these perfect squares, so an x and a negative 9, multiply those together, that's negative 18, I'm negative 9x, and negative 18 is just twice that much. Okay, so I can tell again this is a perfect square trinomial. These two added together will give me negative 18. So I know that the answer for this one is just x minus 9 squared. Okay, and again, this is for some of you, if you catch this, you'll be able to factor it out a little bit faster. Just make sure you're always writing your answer in the simplest form, x minus 9 in parentheses squared versus x minus 9 times x minus 9. Some of you might get it wrong. All right, so make sure you are squaring that. Okay, so hopefully now you feel like you can spot a perfect square trinomial and factor it just a little bit faster because it is a perfect square trinomial. There's one more special case I'd like to show you, which is called the difference of squares trinomial. Okay, so go ahead and check out that video after you've understood this one. As always, I just want to thank you for watching. I hope you learned some math, and I'll see you guys next time.